Alright guys, welcome back. We are on chapter 15 of the Barren Grounds by David A. Robertson. We have the group Ochek, Morgan, Eli, and now Eric the squirrel heading back to Mizwa because Eric claims she knows where the human is that took the summer birds. So Eric says, I can take you to them. And Ochek says, fine, but we can't make any decisions until we talk to council. So here we are, chapter 15, page 132. The new group of four left immediately for Mizwa, with only a chewed-on hare to show for their trip. That and guarded hope. Morgan's heart felt like exploding when they got back to the canyon, but she managed to crawl across the tree bridge on all fours without looking down. Once safely across, they carried on until it became too dark and cold to continue, and they set up camp for the night. In the hut, the children slept. Morgan more easily on her second night in the dwelling, and so did Eric. But Ochek stayed up to watch the squirrel and make sure she didn't run off. When morning came, they ate breakfast, divvying up the hare among the four of them. Eric was given the smallest portion because she'd already eaten some of it. They actually cooked it too, and this was a better treat than the pemmican. By afternoon the next day, their third day on Askai by Morgan's count, they arrived in Mizwa. Eli, Morgan, and Eric were made to wait in Ochek's lodge while he asked to see counsel. The children were to keep the squirrel from leaving. Eli had been given Ochek's knife, and they dutifully stood by the entrance, blocking the way out. Eric, though, didn't seem as though she wanted to leave at all. She was cozied up by the fire, looking positively happy. Why don't you live here? Morgan decided that if they had to wait, they might as well talk. I kind of like to keep to myself, Eric said. But wouldn't it be easier to be in a community, a family? Eli asked. The thing with that is, she said, when you're a smaller, two-legged pisciscu, when you're a smaller two-legged pisciscu and everybody's hungry because of the white time, it becomes a bit like survival of the biggest and fittest. I'm fit, not big. So she says, listen, yeah, I'd like to live here in Mizwa, but when everybody's starving, the small become prey. Okay? So she says, I'm fit, I'm agile, I can do whatever, but I'm small, so I'm a target. That's how it is in all life. People who are small or smaller are often victims to other people just because they are small. Children, women compared to men, and so forth. Okay? I'm fit, not big. Pisciscu, Morgan said. Animal, Eli explained. Morgan and Eli, content that there was no threat of an escape, moved to the fire and sat across from Eric. What about before the white time? Morgan asked. Eric nodded. That was a very long time ago, but yes, I was in a community. Once they got their forks and knives out, I left. That's so sad, Eli said. I don't know if I even want to meet the other animals here. Well, apparently they won't be too thrilled to meet us either, Morgan said. It's not so bad, Eric said. I like living on the land, and I'm small enough to find big holes and even bigger trees that I can sleep in. You're like almost 5 feet tall, Morgan said. Only on my driver's license, Eric said. How would you know about driver's licenses? Eli asked. Oh, right, sorry, she said. previous encounters with humans. And about the height thing, there are some pretty big trees in the North Country. You've got to be lonely, though, being out there like that, Morgan said. Fewer mouths to feed, Eric said. One, to be exact. The great Mizwa hunter sets his traps, but the joke's on him, she sighed. He just makes it easier for little ones like me to find a nice supper. She says, Mizwa, or Ochek, pardon me, goes out there setting his traps all over, and I just catch what he's trapped. You don't really like it on your own, Morgan said. You can't. That's why you didn't keep running, Eli said. That's why you told Ochek about the summer birds, Morgan said. There's less and less food in the traps. Less for them and less for me, Eric explained. And I do feel bad stealing from others. Anyway, I'm glad you two showed up when you did. I could never have made the green time return on my own. Not against that human. Her shoulders slumped. Plus, I thought that... You thought what? Morgan said. That maybe, if I did well, they'd let me live here, Eric said very quickly, as though she was afraid the idea was silly. If you know, they wouldn't have eat me. Were you trying to get caught? Eli asked. At first, I was trying to get breakfast, Eric said with a laugh. I thought of the other thing while Ochek was chasing me. And especially when I saw you children. Okay, she keeps talking about the time is right. She keeps talking about when I saw you kids. She talks about... Anyway, I'm glad you two showed up when you did. I could never have made the green time return on my own. It's like she needs the kids for something. I don't know what it is yet. I thought of the other thing while Ochek was chasing me, and especially when I saw you children. Why us? Morgan asked. Eric shook her head and seemed to scold herself. All I'm trying to say is that you have to think quickly in times like that. 2 humans against 1 human? Well, isn't that better than a bunch of animals all on our own? I never said we would go, Morgan pointed out. What? Eli said. Because you never told me how long this would even take, Morgan said. Right, Eric said. Well, I was kind of preoccupied with bartering for my life and all. Forgive me. We have to go, Eli said. You heard her. 2 humans against 1. 2 kids against a man, Morgan corrected Eli, then turned back to Eric. First things first, do we even have time to help? We can be here for a week. Eric rolled her eyes dramatically. I mean, all the variables, children. It could be this, it could be that. How could one possibly know? I need to know, Morgan said, or I'm going to take Eli and we're going to go back to our world, like tonight. All right, Eric said. Calm down now. Let me think. She closed her eyes tightly. I'd say, to give you a range, 4 to 7 days, but on the low end, most probably 4. We can still do it, Eli announced. Time-wise, yeah, Morgan said. But if something happens to you or us and we just disappear, then what? What do Katie and James do? They need us to bring back the summer birds, Eli said. They have to come back or else Mizwa will die. I don't know. Morgan stared at the notches of wood. 3 days had gone by. Ochek had made 3 more marks before leaving them. They had a week left. But what if they were here longer, even for a day? 2. Would that be minutes on Earth? Could they just say that they'd hidden in the attic and lost track of time? What was the worst that could happen? They'd get grounded? The fire cast light and shadows against the marked up walls, and in those shapes, like black clouds against an orange sky, Morgan saw the dream again. Her mother, sitting in a chair, rocking Morgan as a toddler. She heard the wind outside, and in the wind her mother's song, and the word kiskisitataso. She felt a pull, not from her world, but here. Okay, we'll help, she said. At that moment, the door opened and a gust of cold wind announced Ochek's presence. He looked all business. They'll see us now. At once, Eric, Eli, and Morgan stood up to go, but Ochek held up a paw and cautioned the humans in the party. I've explained to Council who you are and how you came here, and they weren't exactly happy about it. Say nothing unless you're asked to speak. I can talk though, right? Eric said, because I have a lot to... Yes, you can talk, Ochek said, interrupting her. Just not too much. They found the thatched hut in the middle of the village, encircled not only by the 7 lodges, but by the occupants of Mizwa. They were standing outside their homes, facing the humans and Eric and Ochek, all in various stages of shock and disbelief. 2 foxes shared a wide-eyed look. A beaver slapped its tail at the sight of Eli and Morgan. A large, albeit frail, elderly bison sat on a log outside of its longhouse, shaking its head. A couple of moose just stared at the 2 humans, their mouths agape. An old muskrat with a thick hide wrapped over its shoulders looked to the left and right at all its fellow villagers, searching for answers. And finally, a caribou threw a snowball at the kids, which hit Morgan and yelled at them to leave. Awas! So here's all the animal beings from this village, and they're all outside their longhouses and seeing the kids. So we have caribou, we have moose, we have foxes, we have a bison. Yeah, they're all out there. Some of them can't believe the kids are there. Some of them are a little bit nervous. The moose are astounded by the children. And then, yeah, the caribou threw a snowball at them. Told them to get out, leave, awas. All right, guys, that's the first video for chapter 15. See you in the next video. Bye.